Good evening and welcome to our 2022 City of Grande Prairie Municipal By-election All Candidates Forum. My name is Tertius Janis and I'm the chair of the Grande Prairie and District Chamber of Commerce. Thanks for taking an interest in the leadership of your city government and taking the time to be here this evening. The Grande Prairie and District Chamber of Commerce represents nearly 1,200 businesses in this region. We work alongside those members, special interest groups, and all three levels of government to ensure the voice of businesses and the matters affecting them are heard and considered. The election of city officials has the potential to greatly affect not only businesses, but everyone that calls Grande Prairie home. Today is as much about you as city residents, business owners, parents, and taxpayers as it is about those seeking your vote. We will hear the candidates' thoughts on the issues facing our community and future council and look to you, the online audience, to ask the questions that matters to you. On behalf of the Grande Prairie and District Chamber of Commerce, a sincere thank you to all the candidates for being here today and to you, the public, for helping us get ready for by-election day on October 17th. Before I review the format and rules, I would like to introduce our candidates and in alphabetical order. Tammy Brown, Eric Galt, Kevin McLean, Solomon Okifo, Brine Patrician, Wade Pilat, Robin Roshan, and Frank Scully. The forum will begin with opening remarks from all candidates for council, followed by a question period using the Slido app, then closing statements and comments. For the opening remarks, the candidates will be allowed 90 seconds, and for the questions and closing comments, 60 seconds each. During the question period, questions will be submitted using the Slido app. Instructions are on the screen. Each question will be addressed to three of the candidates for council. Each candidate will also have one wildcard to use at their discretion. This will allow the candidate to answer a question that was not specifically addressed to them. Please note, the wildcard has to be opted for after the question has been asked and prior to any answers given. Any questions deemed inappropriate, offensive, and derogatory that would seem to attack the integrity of any candidate or individual will be ruled out of order. Again, answers to questions will be limited to 1 minute in order to maximize the number of questions that can be fielded in the time allocated. Candidates will be given a 30-second yellow warning light and then a red light at the end of the allotted time, after which they will be muted. Candidates will each have an opportunity after question period for closing statements to respond to issues that have been presented through the forum and or summarize their platform. The timer again will give a 30-second yellow warning light and then a red light at the end of the allotted time, after which they will be muted. And with that, let's move on to the opening statements of our candidates. And this has been done by randomly picked order prior to this forum started. So first on is Eric Galt.
I'm sure every candidate here is going to tell you they care very deeply and passionately about Grande Prairie. It's true of all these running and it's true of me. But what I think you need to hear is what's different about me, what sets me apart and makes me uniquely suited for the role of city councilor. I've worked in various fields and industries, so I understand the concerns and the life of the oil field. One of my first jobs was working NDT on the pipelines. Now I work in a more white collar world of real estate. The unique thing about real estate is that I get to meet and talk with people who are excited to move here. I get to find out what they want in a community. I also get to work with people who are fed up with this town and are getting the hell out of Dodge. I get to meet with people from all walks of life, electricians, lawyers, pastors, students, and college professors, both starting out in the world and selling their last home. I get to hear both what they love and loathe about our community. I think the characteristic that most greatly qualifies me for this role is my ability to listen and work with those who may hold different opinions than my own. While I'm able to work towards my goals with as much passion as anyone, I don't become so dogmatic in my beliefs that I can't hear a different perspective. When presented with a topic, I learn as much as I can about it, and as I learn, my opinions may change. Although I can tell you, I hold true to the majority of my ideals and principles that I was raised on. I'm not afraid of a healthy discussion or debate. You want a councillor who is interested in finding the right solution first and foremost.
Thank you, Eric. Next up, Brine Patrician.
Good evening, everybody. Brian Patrician here. Just wanted to introduce myself. I've been up in Grande Prairie for 17 years now. Myself, I've been in communication and the oil field and the housing and lumber market for retail sales. I'm running for council because I feel that the foundation of the city is being crumbled away within the last 12 years. So I'm a man who just wants to get my hands dirty and start repairing everything from the ground up so the city can grow and prosper like it should. Thank you.
Thank you, Brian. And next we have Tammy Brown.
Thank you. I believe in serving our community and making Grande Prairie proud. I would do this by being grounded, working hard, and being committed to you, the residents of Grande Prairie. My name is Tammy Brown. My husband and I have lived and raised our 2 children here in Grande Prairie for the past 28 years, which we've all experienced the opportunities that this community has to offer. I grew up in Didsbury, Alberta, and attended state and obtained a power engineering diploma, and I have a 3rd-class steam certificate. I worked for Shell Canada as a plant operator, and since having a family, I have been working in the business community, getting to know many of you over the years. Dedicating my volunteer time to governance for the City of Grande Prairie and the city has prepared and shaped me for council. These boards and committees are very structured, require preparation and understanding and commitment. I've also gained knowledge and wisdom of our city services, how they work and their budgets, but also increased a network of people. As residents, we work very hard and are diligent and careful with our spending, and I believe as a councillor, we need to be fiscally responsible. I will advocate and support and be dedicated to you and your families. I will be committed to having tough conversations and working for a positive partnership to help Grande Prairie plan forward to grow and prosper. I strive for a friendly, comfortable, and safe place for our residents that preserves the best of small town life in the city. Thank you.
Thank you, Tammy, for that. Next, Solomon Okifo.
Good evening, everyone. And thank you for coming today to listen to what the candidate have to say. First, I want to thank the 2,765 Grande Prairians that gave me their vote last year when I ran for election. I appreciate every one of you. Today, I'm seeking an opportunity to join council. So through my volunteer in the community and a member of the board for the various city committees and not-for-profit organizations, I've come to be acquainted with the issues that people struggle with in Grande Prairie. I've heard that you want a change in the way things are done in the city. You want a new face in council. Here I come, Solomon Okifo. I am the change that you desire. I'm the change that you're looking for. And so because I've heard you, I know what the city says we need. This is why I'm going to focus on crime reduction. I'm going to focus on affordable living, which means reducing our property tax, focusing on ending homelessness and mental health addictions and the opioid epidemic that have plagued us for a long time. I am also going to focus on working to make sure that our children and youth have affordable recreation facilities and activities. I'm going to work hard on economic prosperity and diversification. And finally, I'm going to work on community integration so that whether you're brown, black, yellow, whatever you are, we can live together.
Thank you, Solomon. Next up, we have Frank Scully. Can't hear you. Just unmute yourself.
Okay. Well, 17 years ago, my family and I moved here from Calgary. And we set up a small specialized construction service company. Quite well here. And in that company, I've gotten to see a lot of things that happen with the buildings and roads and other infrastructure here in Grande Prairie. I see a lot of problems. I think there's a lot of things that can be changed, get things improved. I used to be in the Canadian Armed Forces. I spent 6 years as a combat field engineer, and that was during the 80s. And I learned a fair amount about construction through them and through other things. I've been involved in the Legion here for over 10 years, and I've been strongly involved in getting it reinvigorated so I can get back working with the community and donating to it. Things that I see around here that I don't like: Stonebridge Hotel. I know why it was bought. I appreciate greatly why it was bought. I like the idea. What happened? $12.5 million was the initial idea for that building, with initial $3 million budgeted for renovations to it. One contractor is already in there just starting. He's in for just under $5 million. What's going on? I don't like it. Why are we rebuilding the same roads over and over again? They're working on 100th Street in front of the mall. That was just redone 3-4 years ago.
Thank you, Frank. We have to mute you there. Next up, we have Wade Pilat.
Welcome, everybody. My name is Wade Plott, and I want to explain why I feel to be the best candidate. Experience in life gives people chances to learn, communicate, and become connected to their community. I'm proud to say I've been able to gain lots of experience from the following boards. I was president of the local soccer association. I was president of the local home builders association. I was a member of the Pursuit of Excellence Committee. I was a member on the Grande Prairie Public Library. I was a board member on your Chamber of Commerce, and I was a board member for many years on the Big Brothers Big Sisters Association. These are all boards and committees I was on before I was on council last term. They helped me understand governance, budgets, and ultimately they gave me a relationship to draw upon when I was on council. I've also been self-employed in our community for almost 30 years in various businesses. So I can empathize with business owners, sports groups, social agencies, and everybody that has to manage budgets and operations. Being a business owner comes with tough decisions, and they must be made in order for the business to survive sometimes. Dealing with constant change, staffing, financial stress, regulatory changes are all part of daily operations for us. I feel from these life experiences through my businesses, my previous role on councils, and my fortunate opportunities on the boards, I'm confident I can be able to make those tough decisions on your behalf to our community. I promise you that if I'm re-elected, I will continue to meet anyone that asks to look and would ask to look forward to their input. I will do the homework as I always did, and I will have the tough conversations needed to make the best decisions on your behalf. Thank you.
Thank you, Wade. And next up, we have Kevin McLean.
Hello, my name is Kevin McLean and I'm running for City Council. My wife, Tina McLean, and I have lived in GP for over 32 years. We have twins that are now 15 and raised here. I'm a family man first. My campaign is connecting community. How can we come together? A few of the priorities I would like to talk about is our seniors and our children. You have heard that we have more children than seniors in GP, but COVID has been tough on our seniors. How can we help fill this gap? I believe Grande Prairie Foundation and the Elder Care Center should be allocated land from the city so they can advocate the provincial and federal governments for more monies for senior lodges. Also, the Golden Age Recreation Center operating expenses should be paid by the city as we own the building. Our children have new schools that I've helped advocate for. The next step is to connect the trails and to have solar power speed signs to protect them. Children need us. October 17th, Bope McLean, Connecting Community.
Thank you, Kevin. And last but not least, we have Roshan. You got it on mute.
Good evening, everyone. Can you hear me? Okay. I'm Robin Roshan. My husband, Jeremy, and I have lived in the city for over 19 years. We're both drawn to the city for its opportunities in the oil field. And together we have created our life with our 3 sons and made connections and family friends that have long-term connections as well as I work in health and wellness. So I serve people for a living through my business. I'm running for city council because I believe the citizens of Grande Prairie want a grassroots leader who is going to stand with them and stand up for them without timidity. I want to be a part of pursuing effective crime reduction strategies for a safer community. The cost of living is increasing. I don't believe in raising city taxes. We need responsible and accountable city spending. I believe it's time for the citizens of Grande Prairie to be heard and to unite. Strong leaders encourage, motivate, and inspire individuals to their greatness. The difference between a weak leader and a great leader is a weak leader says, what's in it for me? A strong leader asks, what is in me for the citizens of Grande Prairie? I bring all my life's experiences and wisdom to the table. Also my firm foundation of values to every decision. I'm willing to work hard for you and to stand with you for a stronger, united community. Thank you and God bless.
Thank you, Robin, and thank you to all the candidates for those wonderful opening statements. Next, we're going to go into our question period, and just to reiterate, I will pick 3 names randomly and then read out the question. Each candidate has 1 minute to answer the question, and you will again get the 30-second warning. I will also ask if anybody would like to use their wild card. Again, the wild card can only be used once, and it must be indicated that you're interested in that once I read the names of the candidates and the question. So without further ado, I'll pick the first 3 names. Never easy to be the first, but here we go. I have Kevin McLean, Robin Roshan, and Solomon Okifo. And I gotta just make note that I keep track of this. So Kevin, you go first, Robin, and then Solomon. The first question: what is your position on the police service discussions for Grande Prairie? And before anyone answer, I just want to see if anybody would like to use a wild card. Again, the question is, what is your position on the police service discussions for Grande Prairie? Okay, seeing no hands as far as I can tell. Kevin, please proceed.
Thank you, Tertius. This is an excellent question. It's been raised to me a few times. As we know, within the current council, they're talking about the opportunities or possible opportunities of a provincial police force. I'm not in favor of this. We already know it could be $200 to $300 million more for a provincial police force. I believe we have the best police force going, which is the RCMP within our city. We can build on that. And as I've said many times before, crime doesn't happen within the city. It happens within the county and MD Greenview. And we don't need our own city police force where they can't go outside the boundaries. We need to be outside the boundaries, finding the criminals and bringing them to justice. And I'm totally in favor of the RCMP, which is the best budget we have. Thank you.
Thank you, Kevin. Robin?
I as well respect the RCMP and their presence. They are an important part of our community and our country. I feel like we need other initiatives to assist the RCMP, other formats that we can implement so we can curb things in our city that are crimes of opportunity. How can we deal with that lower level of crime so we can free up the RCMP for the bigger issues? But I have a lot of respect for our RCMP, and I'd like to see them stay and we can spend the money elsewhere, maybe back into the RCMP. Thank you.
Thank you, Robin. Next, Solomon.
Well, thank you very much for that question. As someone who is well-read, I don't make decisions irrationally. And so I can't just say, yes or no. I understand there is a study that has been done on this. There's some analysis. So what I want to do is get that document, go through it step by step, and find out what are the positive and what are the negative. Then I will do a comparative analysis and see if the municipal police is going to serve us better or the RCMP is going to serve us better. So based on that analysis, with a cost-saving other things that are going to come, that is what will guide me in making my decision. Until I look at that document, I'm not in a position to make a decision. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you, Solomon. And thank you for those three to start off the question period. Like I said, never easy to be first on the spot, but thank you for that. Well done. The next three candidates is going to be Tammy Brown, Eric Gold, and Frank Scully. The question is taxes in 2023. Should they go down, stay where they are, or go up? Why and how would you like to see that accomplished? Again, the question, taxes in 2023, should they go down, stay where they are, or go up? Why and how would you like to see that accomplished? And again, any takers for wildcards? Tammy, please proceed.
Thank you for the question on our taxes for 2023 budget that's going to be coming up in deliberations in November. Yeah, so I personally would like to see those taxes kept the same here in Grande Prairie for our residents. Our residents work very hard for their money, and I believe that all our residents are feeling money being wanted from them from all directions right now. And I don't think that this is something that as a resident that they can look at doing within their own families and their own individuals here in town in Grande Prairie. But saying that, I also would like to say that as the deliberations go on, I think we need to take a look at the budget and make sure that if there's any frivolous spending, that these things are kind of trim that fat off of those budgets so that we can move forward and move that money into places where it's more needed within our budget. I believe that there's probably excess spending there in some departments.
Thank you, Tammy. You ran out of time. And sorry, Eric, just before you go, I just saw a chat going up there. So through the Slido app, you can actually see the questions and you can actually vote on them. And that will obviously increase the priority and those questions will be asked sooner. Eric, please. You're on mute now. Okay, thanks, Eric.
Yes, so I believe that's one of the things we have to look into. I mean, I hate paying taxes. It's the worst, you know, I hate paying electricity bills and fuel bills and everything. But at the same time, I understand that they go towards things. So I think prudent spending is the biggest thing to look at, and digging in, as Tammy said, I mean, you know, you need to dig in and look at those budgets, look at the actual expenditures that have been happening. Are we overspending on things? What's the reason? Are there ways we can do better? I would like to see taxes stay the same. I would like to see them go down, but I also don't want to lose any of our services for sure. I don't want to see, certainly don't want to see them go up, but I think we definitely need to continue to mind the budget and look even closer at perhaps frivolous spending or issues with what we've been spending on.
Thank you, Eric. Frank, you're up next. Yes, Frank. I did see him. Frank, you there?
Tertius, it appears that he might have disconnected accidentally.
Okay, I'll give it a few seconds here, then I'll move on to the next round of names. Back here, I will put all those other names back in. I have two more remainders and I will draw one from the list again. So for the next question, we're going to have Wade, Brine, and Eric, you're up again. Sorry, man. So the next question. How do you believe is the best way to retain healthcare professionals in the city? Again, the question, how do you believe is the best way to retain healthcare professionals in the city? And again, it's Wade, Brine, and Eric. And I do see
a wild card for Kevin.
Okay, Kevin, you want to use the
you.
wild card, and I see Solomon, you as well. Okay,
Wild
so
card.
and who else was that? Robin. Okay, so we're going to first have Wade, Brine, and then Eric, and then Kevin, Solomon, and then Robin in that order. Okay. Again, Wade, if you would like to start, please.
Okay, thanks, Tertius. I guess I'm going to go to the big one that everybody's talking about is a shortage of doctors in our community. And I think this stems from us looking at having to do there's lots of moving parts to get doctors to our community, and it's not fully in the city's control. I can say it should be a top advocacy or priority. And I think it starts with building relationships. Our region would like doctors like every other region. So we need to work collaboratively with local AHS, the Chamber of Commerce, the Queenie 2, and Northern Polytechnic to start with. Then the city may have to actually allocate money to try to attract and retrain doctors to come to our community. And maybe it's looking at creative things like that, providing them office space so they have a spot to come. But mostly I think it's getting to talk to our ministers on the provincial college physicians to allow for more accreditation to happen so we can actually have more doctors get into the system within Alberta and within Canada. As much as we all want them, I don't want to see us poach them from another city either. So I think we need to work collaboratively and do a high advocacy priority on attracting doctors. And that goes across the board. I'm saying doctors, but I think you could take those same things. You have to work collaboratively, build relationships, and have communications. And a lot of it comes.
Okay. Thanks, Wade. I know there's a lot to say there. Next, Brine, please.
Well, I believe to attract people to the city, we have to make our housing, roads, taxes, all feature to them. We are a winter community, so snow is on the ground at least 5 months out of the year. Having to go through rough roads just to get to work every day is just a pain, hard on vehicles, and with all the higher expense for initial cost for moving up here and purchases. If we can make that more attractive, it will draw more attention to Grande Prairie. We should have a good, healthy relationship with AHS so we can attract more nurses and physicians here. We just have to make it appealing to the people of Alberta and anybody who is immigrating to Alberta.
Thanks, Brian. Run out of time there. Appreciate the answer. Eric, you up next.
Yeah, I think very important priority. I've heard that a lot too. I've actually had personal experience with both moving doctors to town and helping them move away. And what I've been hearing, I like some of those answers. I mean, I think advocating is crucially important. But basically from what I've been hearing personally is that we need to do a better job of providing the amenities that that doctors are looking for. So whether that be facilities, the ability to travel internationally or have some other facilities around here, just make them feel more at home compared to what they could be getting somewhere else, as best as we can with the resources we have. So.
Thank you, Eric. And we'll go to the wildcard options here. Kevin, you first.
Thank you, Terrence. We know that, let's speak frank, wealth is health. Health is number one priority. If you don't have health, you're in trouble. We have to look in City of Grande Prairie for the last 15 years, we've been going on a downward slope for family doctors. Most families in Grande Prairie, young families, cannot get one. There's a 2 to 3 year wait time to have a family doctor. As well, we know the new regional hospital was built over 10-year plan. We can do better. We have 11 OR rooms, only 4 are functional. The government right now is not meeting the bill. It can be done through advocacy with the provincial government. When I was on council between 2010 and 17, we had too many children in the schools, more in portables in the schools. We worked with the government. We got the job done. We got more schools built. Let's do it for health. Let's do it together for our community. Thank you.
Thank you, Kevin. And next, Solomon.
Thank you very much. This is a subject I'm passionate about. There is a short-term solution to this, and there's going to be a long-term solution as well. The short-term solution is going for recruitment of medical doctors outside of Alberta, outside of Canada. I mean, there are medical doctors here. I know a Filipino who has practiced 30-something years in the Philippines. He's a specialist, but he came to Canada, he cannot practice. So we need to dialogue with the Medical College of Physicians and look at how we can make those people practice in this place. Then the long-term strategy will be for the Peace region to think of building a medical training facility. I'm advocating for building a medical school here that is affiliated to any of the colleges, anywhere in Canada, in the Caribbean, anywhere in the world, actually. When we do this, sign a physician retention strategy, then we are well aware, on our way to retaining medical doctors here.
Thank you, Solomon and Robin.
Thank you for that question. That's an excellent question. We need to conduct exit reviews. Why are they leaving our city? Let's get down to the real reason why they are leaving and then deal with the internal stuff that's happening. There's a culture happening, I've been hearing from doctors and other medical staff, that needs to be addressed. That's serious. That's why people are leaving as well. And I also believe we need to recruit, just like my other candidates have said, internationally. And also, I feel like if we have them on a on some sort of specialized team with other in their specialized field, then they can practice in their field for several years and be integrated into our medical system, even though the College of Physicians doesn't allow them to do so. We need to have an allowance here that allows them to practice and have them monitored for maybe a few years until they're ready to take standardized testing.
Thanks, Robin, and thank you for all of you with those answers. Obviously, a really important question, and thank you for those answers. Frank, I see you back online. I'm not sure if you still want to answer the question that was posted to you earlier, or shall I just bring you in on the next one? You've got to unmute yourself, Frank.
Bring me in on the next one. Taxes, there's something that be down, but that's cool.
Okay. So for the next round, I'll give Frank the benefit of the doubt here, going offline there for a bit. I'll have Tammy and Kevin McLean. And the next question, how do you feel about Council's recent decision to proceed with the creation of a stormwater utility fee as opposed to funding stormwater through taxes? Again, the question, how do you feel about Council's recent decision to proceed with the creation of a stormwater utility fee as opposed to funding stormwater through taxes? And that's for Frank, Tammy, and Kevin. Any wildcards? I don't see any. Frank, if you would like to start.
I find this stuff hard to believe that what they're trying to do is make it appear that your taxes are going down. And then they're going to turn around and give you a utility bill for your rainwater. So the idea is it's supposed to be zero. I believe it's going to go up. Your utility is going to be higher than what you're going to take off your tax. Who's going to pay for it in rental costs, in renters? Renters generally pay utilities. So now are the renters going to be getting another utility bill? I don't like this at all. I think it's a whitewash. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Frank. Tammy?
The discussion of the water, the runoff water and our rainwater is where who's being charged for this, or through taxes or going through a utility company and to the residents. Part of the charge will either be on your mass of your land, on your property. So if you have a home, this will change as to a larger home to a smaller home on your land area to be able to absorb the water. And this will change your charge to your water on your tax or on this taxes or to the utility department. I think it won't be well adjusted to go to utilities because I believe there'll be a charge that will go in and increase continually rather than staying within our taxes for the city. The utility companies have a tendency to go up all the time, and I think it'll be not a great circumstance for our residents in Grande Prairie.
Thank you, Tammy. Kevin?
Thank you, Tertius. There's a lot of this has been brought forward with this council as well, and they've been working on it for a little bit. We can know 1 in 100-year storms. We know it's happening within every 10 years. So a lot of our storm systems have to be rebuilt and restructured to support what we're going to have in the next 10, 15, 20 years with the environment. So I'm not against this. I want our storm systems to be strong and sustainable in the future of Grande Prairie, where the water can go in and be gone. We have a lot of issues where it's not gone. Roads get flooded, issues happen, property can get damaged. But the one thing I would like to see through this, if it does happen, is years ago they took away, we used to have an extra storm system out from the house connected in new areas. And some areas have it now that are very wet. Would this be part of the new storm issue? I would like to have that looked at better. Thank you.
Thank you, Kevin. Next round, we have Robin, Solomon, and Wade. Robin, Solomon, and Wade. The next question is, what specific viewpoint will you bring to council that isn't already there? Again, the question, what specific viewpoint will you bring to council that's not already there? The wild cards I see at this point. Robin, please proceed.
Hi there, thank you for the question. My specific viewpoint, well, that comes from my values. I am a Christian conservative, so those viewpoints are very strong within my foundation. So that's what I carry with me, and that's unmovable with who I am and where I stand. So I bring my Christian viewpoint, and I add also a lot of rationale and experiences throughout my entire life to the table. I have a grassroots mentality, and I know what people want. I listen to them, and I have heard them. So my viewpoint is coming from an authentic place of who I am. So thank you.
Thank you, Robin. Solomon?
Thank you. As somebody who have international exposure and exposure from the Atlantic to the Pacific in Canada, I have a lot to bring to the table. First is crime reduction through crime prevention strategies and initiative. I don't have time to dwell in detail, but that's one thing that I bring to council. Then the second one is connected community through strong neighborhood association. Grande Prairie, we used to have a neighborhood association, but I don't know what happened to them. They disappear. If you go to Red Deer, every community have a neighborhood association. They have a community building that people can gather together, do a barbecue. And I mean, a lot of discussion happened there. Those are two strategies that I'm going to bring to council that are not currently there now. Thank you.
Thank you, Solomon. And Wade?
Thanks, Tertius. I think for me, I just want to point out that when I was on council last term, we achieved a below 0% tax increase. And I know I was a huge part of that. I was in a lot of conversations to make sure that would happen. And I will continue to make sure the transparency on spending for the community is best served. I also think my experience of being a developer and a home builder and an employer, when we're talking about building seniors housing like we probably should be in the future, will come at a great advantage of that to our community. I have a lot of communication and a lot of contacts with the right people that will actually be able to build those kind of projects on behalf of our city. And I'm confident we can get those things done. We're going to be reviewing the municipal development plan coming up in this term. This is a piece of framework that will shape most of the capital spending in the future years. That's what I do every day in my normal life. And so I'm very confident that my experience would serve the community very, very well moving forward. And I think my past history, what I did around taxes, should speak to that. So thanks, Tertius.
Thank you, Wade. For our next question, we have Brine, Eric, and Tammy. Brine, Eric, and Tammy. And the question is, what do you personally want to see as a budget priority in November? What do you personally want to see as a budget priority in November? I don't see any wild cards, so we'll start off with Brine, please.
Myself, I personally want to see no gravel roads within city limits, with the exception of alleyways. I know behind Red Line on the north side, I've been up here for 17 years, and it's a high use partial commercial road that is still in gravel and not in pavement. That would be my first priority. Secondary is during the winter, snow plows don't drive around with their blade in the air. I understand if they're going from one area to another. If you're on the road, the blade should be on the ground. Third is possible park upgrades. I've noticed a lot of benches and degradation in our parks and trails. For everybody to enjoy them properly, they need to be well maintained. That's what I'd like to see. Thank you.
Thank you, Brine. Eric?
Budget priority for me would actually be to deal with our homeless and some of the marginalized people. However, some of them need a lot of help with psychological issues. Some of them need help with drugs, but I think we need to get them all off the streets. I'm seeing a lot of people on the streets around here, and it concerns me both for themselves and for their safety, for business owners, for children walking around. I really, that's the big change that I've seen over the last few years, and I want to fix that. That's big for me.
Thank you, Eric. And Tammy? Tammy, you muted.
Thanks for the question. For me, I'd like to see personally in the budget as a priority in November. Part of it is to make sure that we're looking at the budget and trimming that fat off of different services that have it in there, and we're able to move it into areas that is needed within the budget itself. That is the first thing, to make sure that we don't have an increase. The next thing is to, I really want to look at personally is green spaces and looking after cleanliness of the streets, street sweeping, and our parks and areas, and making sure that we continue to improve and grow and build on that in our city as we continue to develop. Our green spaces are very important, especially as we go to more low-income density housing. Homelessness, I also believe, is an issue here in town that needs to be looked at very carefully here within our community. And I would like to see that looked at within the budget and those money.
Thank you, Tammy. For the next question, I have Robin, Kevin, and Frank. And again, this was mentioned here, and obviously a very important issue, and more specifically, how will you help solve the homelessness issues we have in our city? Again, the question, how will you help to solve the homelessness issues we have in our city? Robin, Kevin, and Frank. And do I have any wild cards? I don't see any. Okay, Robin, please.
That's a pretty loaded question, but I'm happy to answer it the best I can. I can't solve homelessness. Not one of us can solve homelessness on our own. And we'd be lying if somebody here were to say they could. Well, then you're hired for Prime Minister. I think that we need to work together and we need to come up with strategies that have already been implemented by other municipalities. I know right now that Edmonton, they have a housing society that is working together with homelessness initiatives, and they have buildings and outreach facilities where they have worked with the whole faith community inside the city, and everybody is getting on board with this. It's just not a city thing, it's a community thing. We need to come together and we need to problem solve this way by bringing our minds together, because we're stronger when we unite rather than one person trying to dictate the show. That's not how this works here. This is a complicated problem and it's going to take a lot of problem solving and complexity.
Thank you, Robin. Kevin?
Look, we're a major city in northwestern Alberta. We are the big city. A lot of individuals are going to be coming here to get help throughout community, connected community, throughout issues within our city for healthcare and getting off the streets. But we all can't do that, but a teamwork will do that. And if I'm elected on council this term, I want to work as a team to get it done, but specifically to look at provincial and federal grant monies to make it work. That is the other partners are big in this play. It's been downloaded quite a bit on the municipalities. And I believe this is not right. But as municipalities, since I've lived here in 91, we've seen a great change of homelessness within our community. And we can change that. So let's get Stonebridge Hotel opened before the winter and get people in it now. This has to be done before this winter. We're too cold in our winters. Thank you.
Thank you, Kevin. Frank? Frank, you got to unmute.
Homeless is definitely a problem in the city. It's very difficult to solve. I do like the idea of the Stonebridge Hotel. It's going to be a community care campus, I believe it's called. For people to get there, to get in there, they have to go through Alberta Health, the mental health unit. Okay, they can't just come in off the street. I want people to understand that it's not a place that a drug addict can just walk in. There's many steps that they have to go through to get into that building. But I also want to know, why are they coming here? How did they get here? Where are they coming from? I think a lot of the other communities should be held responsible for a lot of their own citizens, and they need community care from their own people. Thank you.
Thank you, Frank. For the next question, we have Wade, Brine, and Eric. And the question in front of me here is, what do you see as a realistic method to improve the quality of infrastructure investments? And in brackets, roads, pedestrian connections, etc. Again, the question is, what do you see as a realistic method to improve the quality of infrastructure investments, roads, pedestrian connections, etc.? Wade, Brine, and then Eric. And I don't see any wildcards, so please, Wade. Oh, sorry, I think was there one wildcard? Frank? Okay, I'll add Frank as a wildcard, so it will be Wade, Brine, Eric, and then Frank. Thanks, Wade.
Thanks, Tertius. We've spent a lot of money on our roads in our community. When I was on council, I think we were at 7 million a year, and I think last year they peaked at 15 million. I think a big part of that is actually looking at the projects we're doing. One of the things the city does is they scope all the roads with a machine, and it tells them how often we're supposed to fix roads. And I think that we could probably do away with a study every other year and save the community a little bit of money there. But I think it could also show us that we might not need to do some of these infrastructure projects as fast as we think we need to do them. I think some of them could have actually been deferred, which would have helped us with construction fatigue and also save the capital tax a little bit. I also think that there should be no roads inside the city that aren't paved. So there's areas that I would like to see paved, and I think through business improvement taxes, those would work. But I'm proud of our investment in our community. You can bike almost anywhere. I think there's a lot of great things about our infrastructure in our city. I do think we're going to have to look at court sports facilities. That's a big thing that can help drive economic sports. Tourism is huge, and it's a huge thing for our youth, and it's a big thing for inclusivity. So those infrastructure.
Brine?
For infrastructure, I believe, yeah, projects should have a certain time frame I've seen a lot of construction within the last couple of years, which is great. I've also seen a lot of construction and talking to residents where they've specifically said it wasn't needed. So those places to me is you're mishandling tax financial money. And it could be placed in somewhere where the road does need repair. We need to look at the budget and myself, trim the fat on some of the areas and put more of that money into infrastructure, road repair or septic upgrades, whatever is needed. I know the city does a lot more of their own construction instead of hiring it out now, which is better because it saves on tax dollar. It just needs to be better handled. I believe plowing the roads in the winter will stop the harsh pot.
Thank you, Frank.
Infrastructure has always been a big problem, roads and things like that. Some of the things that I see is accountability. There seems to be very little accountability on what's going on. I see roads that need repair a couple of years within being built. You know, they're doing the same thing over and over again. They need to change their ideas on what they're doing. Some of the other things too is people like to say, cut costs, cut costs. Well, I'd rather see 10 kilometers of good road than 11 kilometers of lousy road. You know, you've got to be careful how you cut your costs because it'll just cost you in the long run. So I'd like to see more accountability on these roads. We're not doing the same ones over and over and over again. Thank you.
Thank you, Frank. For the next question, I have
I can answer that
Solomon.
one too, if you like, or we could skip to the next. Doesn't matter to me.
Sorry, did I miss you on my list? Sorry, Eric, go ahead. My mistake.
Not a big deal. Yeah. So just really quickly, I think that there is actually a lot of good changes happening. There's been, I've been annoyed by the construction for the last few years for sure, but I do think they're improving the infrastructure quite a bit. So I am happy about that. I do think we're going to see positive changes there. I agree though that you look around at some roads and they really didn't need to be redone or replaced. And you look at other roads and they look like Kosovo in 1991. It's crazy. But I think so we need to adjust there a little bit. And there was one more thing I was going to say about that. Oh no. Anyway, that's fine.
No worries. You'll have time at the end there, Eric, and sorry for skipping you there. My mistake. For the next question, we have Solomon, Robin, and Tammy. Again, Solomon, Robin, and Tammy. And the question is, how will you advocate to equalize electrical distribution rates for the Grande Prairie taxpayer? How will you advocate to equalize electrical distribution rates for the Grande Prairie taxpayers? Again, Solomon, Robin, Tammy, do I see any wild cards? No. Okay, we'll start with Solomon.
Okay, thank you very much. Right now, I understand the city already put a proposal to the provincial government to have what we're paying electricity distribution rate, to either be removed or be lower. I'm going to join my voice with council to make sure that that goes through. Somebody else had mentioned earlier, there's a lot of responsibility that as municipality we shoulder from the provincial government and the federal government that they're not really what we're supposed to do. So they have to compensate us in one way or the other. And I think that by pressing forward with what council already started and getting provincial government to listen to us and give us this rebate, we can have that done. Thank you.
Thank you, Solomon. Robin?
Thanks for the question. I'm 100% with Solomon. He had some excellent points there about joining and voicing with city council and pressing in on the provincial government to lobby for electricity distribution rate caps or even get our rebates for our citizens, we need to continually press in and forward on the government to have this happen. We can't just stop and say, no, that's okay, we responded once. We have to put pressure on our governments in order to make some headway here, and even join in with other municipalities, because if we do that, our voices are stronger with these other municipalities in lobbying for a equal distribution rate that isn't skyrocketing, or have it capped, not capped high, but capped low. So that's my idea. Thank you.
And Tammy.
Thank you for the question on our power within our northern area of Grande Prairie in the city. So electricity, the costs up here are more expensive because of the expansion of power and here in the northern area, and this is then passed on to the customers in Grande Prairie North. The deregulated service that we've had here in Alberta has also made a change in cost for everybody across the province from 6 to 18 cents per kilowatt hour, which affects the whole province. And the municipality is really trying hard to go together with the rest of the province to bring that down to one basic rate. Electricity is on supply and demand, and we of course use more electricity than what we actually use or are actually producing here in northern Alberta. So we need to look at how we can to contribute to the power generating here in the north, which will then decrease our cost for electricity here in Grande Prairie. So we need to look at.
Thank you, Tammy. For our next question, we have Brine, Kevin, and Eric. And the question is, what do you think council's role is in supporting minority and marginalized groups in the city? And in brackets, visible minority groups, LGBTQIA2S, unhoused people, etc. Again, the question to Brine, Kevin, and Eric: what do you think council's role is in supporting minority and marginalized groups in the city? Visible minority groups, LGBTQIA2S, unhoused people, etc. Brine?
I myself has always seen people as equal. I bleed red, so does everybody else. I believe they should have a open conversation policy. If there's any issues, there should be no problem with them to address those issues. Nobody in life around the world should be harassed or marginalized, I guess, or put in a certain column. I just want to see everybody as an equal citizen, regardless of race or age or sex or any religious belief, anything like that. Thank you.
Thank you, Brine. Kevin?
Thank you very much, Church. This is an excellent question. Our community is growing because of immigration and people from around the world and the country moving to Grande Prairie. I know myself years ago moved from down east. It was within Canada, but oh, you're from the east. But no, I'm Albertan. I've been here most of my life now. So thank you very much. We got to have the process more straightforward, especially on immigration as well. For work, like people want to work here, and I'm hearing some are leaving. English is second language. They have to do it on the internet, but about working with daycare so that mothers and fathers can go in and learn and help companies that need them to get the job done. And I believe we're really failing on this. The provincial government, it's in Edmonton and Calgary, and some are moving that direction. But to end of saying that we're all should be treated equal, and we all need to love each other, because that is life, and life is short. Thank you.
Thank you, Kevin. And Eric?
Yeah, council's role, I think, is in anything, not just in with dealing with minorities, marginalized people, things like that, is to talk about and hear from the community, and then communicate that to the city, to the governing bodies. And I think, you know, we are living in a society of freedom and tolerance. And I mean, if you look around, I think we all want that here. So I think we need to be make sure that we are accepting and nobody feels condemned or unaccepted here or judged. I do think that there's often a very vocal minority, and I think we do need to just take that with the right amount of weight and keep in mind the balances of all the people, and not just one group or another. So, which can be difficult at times. It's complicated like anything.
Thank you, Eric. For our next question, it's going to be Frank, Wade, and Solomon. I like this question. How do you plan to involve residents in the decision-making process in our city and engage on matters? Again, how do you plan to involve residents in the decision-making process in our city and engage on matters? Frank, Wade, Solomon. And I just want to see if we have any wild cards. None. So Frank, please.
I think the community definitely has to be engaged with what's going on. I'd like to see get a little bit more involved in social media. We don't have a newspaper as much per se, but there are a few things should be noted in these. Get on the radio a bit, tell them what's going on, as in that stormwater thing, because a lot of people didn't hear about it till after. It's very important to communicate to the residents so that they know what's going on and they can express their opinion. I like the idea of social media and that, but also too, I hope they can be able to confront any or come to any councillor and ask them what's going on. Thank you.
Thank you, Frank. Wade?
Thanks, Tertius. One of the things that I think we have a real opportunity is collaborating with industry across the board. We've got a lot of great, smart people within administration, but this is one of the most entrepreneurial communities I've ever been to. It's one of the most giving communities when we volunteer for agencies. But I think we need to have more conversations directly and be more nimble with those conversations. I think you can achieve these through town halls, barbecues. I think it's just making a chance to interact with council. And one of the things that I liked when I was on council was that people would call you and you got into conversations. One of my favorite things was actually going to people's homes and being invited right into their home and having a coffee or tea with them. Those are conversations that need to happen because they make people feel included in the community. They make them feel heard. And I think it's council's role to be out in the community as much as possible. But I also think we have to make sure that we're doing the stakeholder engagement as much as we can and put those people around the table that are the experts in their industry with the experts inside of our organization. And we can do great things within the city. Thank you.
Thank you, Wade. Solomon?
Well, thank you very much. And I do want to say the city have been trying to do their part in doing community engagement through the various projects that have happened in the past few years. I want to say that citizens should own a part of this. We shouldn't just be Facebook warriors. And when it's time to really get something done, nobody come out. I was expecting a lot of community people at the recently concluded budget engagement session, but no, not a lot of people show up. So I do agree that as councillors, we should be going to the community. You heard me talk about neighborhood association just now. Councillors should be going to the community to meet with people, meet with the various sports organizations and all the people that are doing good work in our community. So that's one thing I think that we need to do. I also want to say that when we do engagement, we should communicate to the citizen the result of the engagement and how their suggestion was incorporated into the decision that was made. When we do this, it will be a win-win solution.
Thank you, Solomon. Next group for the next question, Tammy, Robin, and Brine. Tammy, Robin, and Brine. The question is, where do you see opportunity for cost savings in the city budget? Question is, where do you see opportunity for cost savings in the city budget? Tammy, Robin, and Brine. I don't see any wild cards yet. Tammy, please.
Yes, thanks for the question on the budget and cost savings. This can be a very difficult question as we haven't actually had deliberations just to see where we're going in the November area. But specifically for myself, and I really believe in trimming fat where it doesn't need to be. I think we as people have gotten easy, and I think as residents, residents here in Grande Prairie, we're all cutting back, and so that we can pay our bills because of all the costs that are coming towards us. And as a city, we have to make sure that we're doing those same things, that we're trimming that fat so that we can move those costs and savings into other areas that are really needed within the city. I think we need to be diligent and we need to be fiscally responsible when it comes to the budget and as we move forward. It really needs to be very, very tight as to move forward so that we're not.
Thank you, Tammy. Out of time there. Robin?
Thank you for that great question. Where we can see some city spending savings, I don't know where we can see the savings, but I'd like to implement where we can keep on budget. Snow removal, where are the bids coming in? Who is bidding for the snow removal budget? I just saw that the committee has requested $150,000 for city council for another run at snow removal, as well as departments need to be trimmed, like Tammy said, and we need to look into the internal department and see where we can cut some money and see where they are spending their funds. So these departments can be better managed so they're not overspending. That's really my initiative, is to see where we're spending the money in these in all of these departments. Thank you.
Thank you, Robin. Brine?
I agree with the other two candidates, as we have to departmentalize and have money management maintained more accurately. With, for example, road construction, when you're going by and you see progress and everything becoming finished, and then there's 4 days to a week of nobody on site. You're just wondering, why is the money being spent when the project's not being finished? It is possible to get better bids, or if you can do the work in-house, doing everything in-house will save the taxpayers money. Thank you.
Thank you, Brian. Wait.
Sorry, I didn't know if I caught that I wanted to jump in on this one or not.
Yeah, sorry, I missed you there. Unfortunately, in the beginning, and this is my mistake, I said a wild card only before and I didn't see you. So maybe if you can keep that for your closing comments, if you don't mind. You okay with that, Wade?
Well, I don't love it, but I'll see if I can jump in for another one. Thanks, Tertius.
Okay. Next round, we have Eric, Kevin, and Wade. The question is, you'll be joining an existing team. It's great to talk potential improvements, but what are some strengths of council you look forward to being a part of? Again, the question, you'll be joining an existing team. It's great to talk potential improvements, but what are some strengths of council you look forward to being a part of? Again, I'm going to give more time if there are any wildcards, since I've missed one. Again, sorry for that. And I would just suggest maybe you unmute yourself and say that you want to comment, because I probably didn't see a hand there. So, okay, don't hear or don't see any wildcard requests there. So, Eric, Kevin, and Wade. Thank you.
Great question. Hey, I was actually going to raise my hand as a wild card for this one, so that's perfect. I got thrown into it. Yeah, I mean, the honest truth is I would be excited to join an existing team. It would be, terrifying to make all those decisions on my own. And I think having other people there that have different perspectives and have some experience, because I haven't done it before. I would love to have that experience and tell you that I've, been on city council for 20 years and I know exactly what's going on. But the truth is I've got a lot to learn. So there's a lot of different perspectives, different experiences there. And from what I've been hearing, the current city council gets along very well. Although they disagree and they have their arguments and different perspectives on things, they're able to move forward and get things done. And I'm excited to be a part of a team like that for sure.
Thank you, Eric. Kevin?
Well, to be quite frank, I wish there was an election because that means John would be here. But with saying that, I'd served 2 terms from 2010 to 2017 on council. I'm known as a team player. I would bring stability to this team because I have the experience of 7 years on council. And as well, I can say the experience about advocating. And when I was on council, we had more children in modulars than in the schools. And we worked with advocacy to bring this forward and get more schools built. As you can see in our community, we got quite a few more schools. And I was a part of the team of doing that. Now with this team, coming into this team, has to put a lot of their strength and structure towards healthcare. And we need to go after it strong and focused. And I will bring that. Thank you.
Thank you, Kevin. And Wade.
Thanks, Tertius. I mean, most of my life I've played sports, so teamwork and being part of a team is just something I've always done. I've had to do it through my businesses, but I'm really excited to have the opportunity to work with this group of people. I got to work with some of these people before, and when you spend as much time as you're going to spend together, they become like your family. And so I'm looking forward to going back and working with some of these family members, but some of them are no different than the brother you have where you debate and you don't get along, but you figure it out. And I look forward to that. And the ones that weren't on council when I was there, I've been able to achieve a personal relationship with all of them from previous experiences through my businesses in life. So I'm really excited to work with this group. I think I can bring a lot to the table with them. I've read the strategic plan. I'm very comfortable with it. I think I can jump in seamlessly with this group and make that strategic plan work. I also have a fairly good relationship, I think, with administration. I think that it took a bit of a time for me because I like to rock the boat, but I'm looking forward to working with the team there again. We also have a lot of new members in the county council, but I have a really strong relationship, I feel like, with a lot of the existing county council members, which when we're talking about regional priorities, we need that.
Thank you, Wade. Next round, we have Tammy, Solomon, and Robin. Tammy, Solomon, and Robin. The question is, what's your take on funding the library and non-profits? Should they be getting more or less city funding? And how should this be decided? Again, the question, what's your take on funding the library and non-profits? Should they be getting more or less city funding? How should this be decided? Tammy, Solomon, and Robin, and just give me a time to see if there are any wildcards. I don't see any hands, nor hear a voice.
Are you allowed a second one?
No, sorry, Kevin, you're done for the night. I mean, as a wild card. So no, unfortunately not. Okay,
Wow.
Anyone else?
Yep.
Sorry.
Wild card for
Brian.
Brian.
Okay, Brian. So it will be Tammy, Solomon, Robin, and Brian. Tammy, please.
Thank you. So with funding for the nonprofit and for the library, this is one of those areas where I'd like to see that fat that's been trimmed off the budget and moved into these areas here. This is one of those areas to be moved into. Our library right now is actually running on a budget that is less than the rest of Alberta libraries. And they do need more funds. And it is a requirement of our city to look after the library financially. And we need to make sure that we are following through with that and carrying that through. Our services and our nonprofits, those are areas that we need to look after because those are the areas where our street people and the needy that need and homeless need to be looked after. And we need those services for our families, for our seniors, and we need it to be so that they have that access and all of the people in those services, and they can't get them if they don't have the funds. And I think that's those areas are really, really important to me.
Thank you, Tammy. Solomon.
Thank you. I think first we have to look at our library and the role they play in our community. They play a very important role. They educate I know, yes, they're not the school, but they provide a lot of education to our newcomers and to our elderly folks. They teach computer lessons and bring people together. And like Tammy said, I understand this. They are underfunded and they are understaffed. And so they should be able to do more. I will advocate for us to be able to support that agency well. Then the not-for-profit organization, we got to remember that government don't have expertise in everything. There are a lot this not-for-profit organization that have expertise and can do a lot of things better than the city itself can do. So we need to be able to identify those and give them the money that they need to be able to render the services that they render in the community. That is my position.
Thank you, Solomon. Robin?
Thank you for that question. That's an excellent question. Yes, I do believe we do need to fund the library. It's a great resource. We use it. My kids use it all the time. And I know many of the community use it as well. As far as nonprofits go, I say yes and no to some. And making those decisions going forward to the table, for example, Rising Above. Rising Above is an excellent resource in our city that helps people break cycles of defeat, and they bring people out of homelessness. They're actually one of the most successful drug addiction rehab places in Alberta. Government funded ones are at 2% success rate, Rising Above's at 20. We need to feed into these programs because they are the experts. They know what they're doing and they have a good track record for that. As well as I've seen the ladies come forward to City Council with asking money for the Mozart machine.
Thank you. Thank you, Robin. Cutting you off there. Brian, you're using your wildcard. Please proceed.
Yes, I'd like to see more funding in the library because it is a large vast of knowledge. You can go there. It's open to everybody in the public. Nonprofits to me would have to be somewhat prioritized. Like if it's a nonprofit that deals with life and death situations or involving addictions or drug abuse or mental health issues, I would like to see more funding to that type of nonprofit compared to others. I personally would like to see a second library put on the south side, which would benefit the residents out there. So it's easier on the transit system for those who take the bus to come to the library. So funding I would like to see it increased. Thank you.
Thank you, Brian. The next group for our next question is Eric, Frank, and Brine again. And the question is, what role do you see the city playing in truth and reconciliation? Eric, Frank, Brine, and the question is, what role do you see the city playing in truth and reconciliation? And I'm just going to look if there are any wildcards. See, no, hear none. Eric, please proceed.
Yeah, I think we need to facilitate truth and reconciliation wherever possible. It goes into the other question that I answered about marginalized minorities. Problem. It all comes back to that feeling of well, there was abuse, there was unacceptance, and I think for one of the first times in history, we're finally seeing a government that will stand up and say, what was done was wrong, and we would like to make amends. And I think the municipal government needs to be part of that as well. So in any way that we can assist and facilitate that as a good thing.
Excellent, thank you. Frank? Frank, you have to unmute.
Truth and reconciliation. Myself, I'm quite ashamed that these schools were around during my lifetime. And I think the city should be involved heavily with it and get involved with the meetings and things with the groups. And let's celebrate continuing on in a good sense of community in that. It's a very difficult, sensitive question for me. I just hope that we can make things a lot better and improve and go from there. Thank you.
Thank you, Frank. Brian?
For truth and reconciliation, it's terrible for what happened in the past. The city should be very open to anybody that needs help, or if we create programs to assist people that residential school is affected. We should sit there with open hearts and open arms if anybody needs help, no matter who you are. Thank you.
Thank you, Brian. Just a quick reminder, we probably have another 15 to 20 minutes for questions when we'll move into the closing remarks. For our next question, we have Wade, Tammy, and Solomon. And the question is, what do you feel administration's role is with matters brought to council, and would you respect their expertise as subject matter experts? Again, the question, what do you feel administration's role is with matters brought to council, and would you respect their expertise as subject matter experts? Again, Wade, Tammy, Solomon, and just want to see if there are any wildcard requests. Okay,
Yeah,
I have Eric. Okay, Eric. So it's going to be Wade, Tammy, Solomon, and Eric. Thanks, Wade.
Thanks, Tertius. Again, as somebody that quite often did butt heads with administration, I have to say they did a very thorough job giving us the information to make a good decision. And realistically, there was times that they created what they called a form and fold team. So when we did cannabis readiness strategy, we created a form and fold team where we brought other people into the room, and administration was great with that. The only thing I wish we could have done a little bit better, and I would strive to want to work towards tomorrow, is when there is a comfort zone that they're not good with, that we work with industry and stakeholders as much as we can in that. But for the most part, administration does a very thorough job through corporate management and our city manager. And it's usually done on direction from council. Most of the administrative reports that come forward were asked for from council. So we did ask for the reports generally in advance, and administration's job was to educate us the best they could and give us an opportunity to ask as many questions. And if council wasn't ready to make a decision, we could always table things to ask for more information for administration. So I thought administration did a great job on getting us information. Hopefully in the future, if there was an issue we didn't, we would just bring in more stakeholders to help out.
Thank you, Wade. Tammy?
Yes, thank you for the question on administration's role with the council. And I really believe that the administration for the City of Grande Prairie is doing quite an excellent job. I've been watching for a number of years council, and I see administration that they bring the information forward to council, and they're very thorough in most cases. And as Wade says, is if the information isn't fully there, that the item is tabled and the information is then brought to council later on. So I really think that they do a great job at bringing information from the residents and within industry and different areas to make sure that this area is answered fully for our councillors. I think a little bit more use of probably our residents could be used a little bit more. But otherwise than that, I think our administration does a great job, and I'm looking forward to working with them.
Thank you, Tammy. Solomon?
Thank you. In public administration language, we call this rowing versus steering. The role of council is to steer, where administration, not for profit, they do the rowing, like rowing a boat. So administration has the expertise to get things done. It's council's business is to give direction on what needs to be done. For example, council say, we need this road repaired, but it's administration that know exactly how to get that road repaired. And so we should trust their expertise. If we don't trust them, then we should hold the CEO accountable, the city manager, and so you need to put the right people into place. And so we shouldn't be in that position that we are butting head with administration. We should be able to trust their expertise and let them do their job while we give direction on where we want to go as council. Thank you.
Thank you, Solomon. And Eric?
Solomon, why would you do that, man? I put my hand up and then you just stole all my stuff.
Sorry,
I think it's critically important that you rely on administration. I mean, you need to give direction as a city council. You need to be asking questions, and But I think you need to be able to trust the reliability of the information of the people who are professionals, who are trained and have been doing this for years and years. And not only the experts in our administration, but their ability to reach out to other municipalities, to industry out there and get you the most information so that you can move forward as a council, as a city, with all of the information possible, make the best decision possible.
Thank you, Eric. Next group is going to be Robin, Kevin, and Tammy. And the question is, residents have stated that they would like to see more city-hosted events. What events would you propose and why? The question is, residents have stated that they would like to see more city-hosted events. What events would you propose and why? And that's for Robin, Kevin, and Tammy. And just before we get, I just want to make sure we don't have any wildcards. Okay.
Thanks for
Robin?
that great question. That's an excellent question. Events, yes, we do need events. We need to draw attraction up to the north. We are the hub of the north. So we are in a prime location in Alberta to be hosting the most spectacular events and also cater to all of our northern residents as well as our northern BC residents. I think more concerts would be great. We can bring in more events, especially more sporting events. How can we bring up more and recruit more events sporting? So I know that we are going to be hosting, I believe it's, what is it, the Winter Games coming up. There was a bid put forward. So I think that looks really promising for our city. So sports, music, all of that great stuff. I think we need to bring that back into our, like more of it into our city and bring that attraction up to Grande Prairie and showcase our city. We are a beautiful city. This is how we can showcase it and bring all.
Thank you, Robin. Kevin?
This is definitely a passion issue with me. You look in City of Grande Prairie, we are a northern region, 6 months a year, we're cold. So what can we bring forward to say? It starts with budget. So let's be honest. Right now, grant money equals $100,000. That should be raised to $300,000 to $400,000. If you want new initiatives, new areas to go, you can't keep the same funding model. So of course we have the East Coast Garden Party. The Folks Festival has been a tremendous success the last few years. They've really stepped up. I'm not sure if we're supporting Stampede at the moment, but that's another event that's huge. Well, I like to look at some new ones. The new ones are a priority, I think, as well. And I know the city of St. Albert does ATV Child Fair, and we're young children, a young family. And I'd love to see something like that come to our city. I don't know how it'd be formatted, but I would love to see that come for children and bring it forward because I think our city's needed for it. Thank you.
Thank you, Kevin. Tammy?
Yes, thank you. Events are very important for our community, and I've sat on the Pursuit of Excellence here for the last 9 years, and now I sit on the city's Community Advisory Committee, where we look at a lot of these different things within the advisory committee of events and different things that we can bring to the city. And I would like to see, of course, like Kevin said, it needs to be more funding. There also needs to be more forward work from our administration and staff to make sure that the residents and groups and committees and areas all know that, that this funding is available to them. I would like to see more sporting events to make sure that our Eastlink Center is being financed on its own. I'd like to see provincial and national events, arts, and also more family and community events available to our city residents. I think family is very important. We have a lot of young children, as Kevin keeps saying, and I know that for sure too. And we need to make sure that we're caring for families.
Thank you, Tammy. For the next round, we have Frank, Brine, and Wade. Frank, Brine, and Wade. And the question is, how can the city improve cooperation between neighboring municipalities to ensure services are provided to residents efficiently and cost effectively? Again, the question, how can the city improve cooperation between neighboring municipalities to ensure services are provided to residents efficiently and cost effectively? And just want to see if we have any wildcard requests. Okay, none. Frank?
Cooperation amongst the fellow municipalities is a must. We can't do things by ourselves here. So, having the meetings, sitting down, having coffee with the other ones, with the other members, things, you have to have communication. So get common interests, get also what we need to change, and discuss these things. It's things that has to happen. And how do we go about it? Well, as I say, the meetings. So thank you.
Brine? Thanks, Frank.
I agree with Frank on this subject as well. We need an open communication for meetings, whether it be coffee, Zoom, any electronic meetings or in person. The more we can benefit from each other, the more the region will grow as one. If we alienate one or the other, it just hurts everybody in the end. So open communication, there should be no closed doors if anybody wants to talk to each other or spitball ideas from one municipality to another. Thank you.
Thanks, Brine. Wade?
Thanks, Tertius. When I was on council, I spent a lot of time putting time into making and building relationships with not just the county, but also the MD and the hamlets around. And if we put the time into the relationships, we'll get the results. I think far too often we think we're going to sit in a room and we're all going to make it work out. And I think until you have a relationship with people, it doesn't work that way. And so I would continue to want to have fostering relationships with the county, the MD, and all the hamlets in the area. There's regional wins that we can go after for sports tourism, health tourism, all kinds of wins that can happen in our area, but we have to work together collaboratively to do that. And I'm very confident with the group of people that are out there in those areas, and I would look forward to working with them again. There's some really smart people in the county, the MD, and these hamlets that have great ideas. We just have to work with them to pull them out and do what's best for our region.
Thank you for that, Wade. We have time for 2 more questions, just FYI. For the next question, we're going to have Solomon, Eric, and Kevin. Again, time for 2 more questions. The first one is going to be for Solomon, Eric, and Kevin. How would you support accessibility in the city for persons with disabilities / mobility issues? Again, the question is, how would you support accessibility in the city for persons with disabilities, mobility issues? And that's for Solomon, Eric, and Kevin. And just want to see if there are any wildcard. Tammy, you can use yours. And that's it, Tammy. Okay, so it's going to be Solomon, Eric, Kevin, and Tammy. That's our second last question. Solomon.
Yeah, the first thing is that we have to realize and understand that even people with disability, they have a lot to contribute to our society. Because somebody is disabled in some form does not mean they don't have abilities. That's why I like when somebody said that disability should be rephrased as disability. They have abilities. And so we should provide them the opportunity to be able to bring that ability in them. So we used to have a disability transportation system. I understand it was closed for some reason. It's been taken into the city department. So we need to analyze, is it working better now? Did it work better then? And so whatever is working best, we have to put more effort in there, put the resources that is in there so that these people can bring out the best that is in them and contribute to our community. Thank you.
Thank you, Solomon.
I'm going to speak a little bit about transportation here. So first of all, it seems maybe, and if you're listening, the person who posted the question, maybe there's some specifics you're looking for. I would love to hear from you after and talk about it, whatever happens with this election, and if there's something that you need opened up more, I'd love to talk about it and be an advocate for you. But I want to talk about public transportation. So we've got these, the way I would do it, you said how, we've got some of these small buses where we're having lots of issues with people have to go up the stairs, even as they get ready to the hospital, which is ridiculous because they can't. And then the lifts don't work on some of them. So we've got some major issues with helping people with disabilities move around our city through transportation. And that would be one area that I would really focus on.
Thank you, Rick. Kevin?
Thank you very much for this question. This is very important to me. Just recently, someone very close to me in my family, I had to build wheelchair access in the home because the AHS wouldn't send them home until they had this access. So this hits my heart very much. I remember I was on council. They tried to do it privately through the taxi system for after hours. So if you think you're in a wheelchair and you need to get out to a function and a concert, the availability is very lacking. And I believe the city should take it over and make it wide open. As well, this goes to building codes, to new buildings or older buildings, and how you position, how the button to get into the doors, and how you wrap up with new buildings. But old buildings, we could do policy to change that they have to have everything in place. We need to step up because we're not quite there yet. Thank you.
Tammy?
Thank you for the question on accessibility. This is a very important question for our residents of that are disabled, and also for our seniors. We are really lacking on development of our sidewalks. Our new sidewalks are in near areas, and so those folks have not an opportunity to be able to walk or get around. So we need to make sure that our sidewalk and areas are continuing to be developed in those areas. Also that we have access into our doorways, and we're looking after that. And we have had to make sure our programs and services are available for our seniors and disabled that are here in town, and so that they can get their needs met. Snow removal, I think, is a big one too. I find it sometimes hard for myself to get in and out of buildings, and in the winter time, and which really surprises me when, as a resident, I have to look after it, and I would expect the city to do the same. I think our accessibility really needs to be done for all residents.
Thank you, Tammy. Okay, for our last question of the evening, I have Brine, Frank, and Robin. Brine, Frank, and Robin. And the question is, how would you help attract and retain skilled workers to the area? The question is, how would you help attract and retain skilled workers to the area? And that's for Brine, Frank, and Robin. And thanks, Wade, I'll add you to the list. Okay, perfect. Okay, so again, Brine, Frank, Robin, and Wade, and then we are done as far as the questions. Again, lastly, the question is, how would you help attract and retain skilled workers to the area? Brine.
To attract, I would set a good foundation. I don't believe somebody's gonna come bring a business here or their family when it's difficult to drive in the winter on snowy roads, or if it's too hard on a vehicle to drive in the summer, in the spring, summer, and fall. So foundation work is one for me. A good transit system is another. Upgraded parks and recreation facilities is a good way to entice people to come with families, so their children have places to play and they're not just stuck inside all day. Lots of community gyms and fitness centers get people out of the house and off the couch in front of, so they're not in front of the TV. So just a general.
Thank you, Brine. Frank?
Well, to help attract and retain the workers, I think important things is sports and entertainment, things that people enjoy doing. They have to have their downtime. And if you don't have something that they can enjoy their downtime, then you have a serious problem. So, I agree with the parks, the entertainment, getting involved more with the Stampede, things like that are great things. But also too is the infrastructure. Like honestly, when you come into Grande Prairie, first things you see are the buildings, the roads, everything else. So we have to have a good general appearance. And that's something that I would like to see more of, so they get a positive attitude right from the start. Thank you.
Thank you, Frank. Robin?
Hi there. Thank you for that great question. Something that I was thinking about is a apprenticeship initiative. So possible credits given to education debts through a completion of an internship. So we're grabbing these skilled workers as well as medical professionals. We are having them in a contract of some sort or some type of agreement where there is an apprenticeship for a time period, and then maybe allowing a credit towards their debt for the education that they had chosen, as well as having a team actively go to university and colleges with incentives to sort of headhunt them to Grande Prairie, why they should come to Grande Prairie, and give them these initiatives right at the school. They're more likely to come fresh out of school and knowing that they can have some of their debts paid. I know that's something that a lot of students would be into, and this is going to draw some professional attraction.
Thank you, Robin. And Wade.
Thanks, Tertius. I just want to bring to the attention that, the Chamber and the City of Grande Prairie through West Grande Prairie have done a great job of doing the rural renewal immigration stream. So it allows employers the opportunity to go after temporary foreign workers and give them permanent residency. And I spoke to an agency today that employs a lot of people in the food sector. They've already got an immigration placed within 4 weeks, and it costs them $0. So normally this is a cost to businesses. So I think it's something our community needs to take full advantage of. One of the things I hear from big business owners consistently is without more housing options, they're having a hard time attracting and retaining families. We're an affordable city to live in, and I think we need to ramp up the marketing on what an affordable city we are to live in and what an amazing community we are to raise a young family. We open a new school almost every year in this community. So it's a great place to raise your family. And we just need to promote more. This is a great place to be.
Thank you, Wade. And that's the end of our question period. And I have to say these questions were very good. They were very tough, but the candidates, you all have done a fantastic job. And thank you. It's really encouraging to hear your passion and your answers. So thank you very much for that. All candidates now have the opportunity for closing statement to either summarize your campaign or further respond to topics covered tonight. We will proceed with this in reverse order on how we started proceedings. So I'm just going to go through the list here. So please bear with me. So we're going to start with Robin, then Kevin, then Wade, Frank, Solomon, Tammy, Brine, and Eric. Again, I can repeat that. It's going to be Robin, Kevin, Wade, Frank, Solomon, Tammy, Brine, and Eric. And for this, you have 1 minute as well. Robin, please.
Thank you to all the city by-election candidates. I believe the one thing we can all agree on is that we are all passionate about our city. This is why we are all putting ourselves out there with our time, energy, and resources. I encourage the citizens of Grande Prairie to vote for something rather than voting against something. We are all stronger together when we can unite. And the city has shown its generosity in giving hearts. When there is a call to action, Grande Prairie shows up. And I leave with this. Proverbs 27:17, iron sharpens iron as one man sharpens another and encourages one another. Elect Robin Roshan for City Council. Thank you and God bless.
Thank you, Robin. Kevin.
Hello. As you know, a strong community is one that is vibrant, loving, caring, and one that has a strong future. By connecting community through municipal, provincial, and federal governments, this can be achieved successfully. A couple other priorities of connecting community are healthcare and investing for the taxpayers of our city. Let's talk about healthcare. We have a shortage of family doctors, wait lists of 2 to 3 years to see one. We need to change this. We need to advocate the provincial government to step up. We need to bring hope, love, caring, and vibrancy to our community. I believe a new performance, art, and conference center will achieve this. It's time. Vote McLean for a connected community.
Thank you, Kevin. Next, Wade Pilat.
In less than a month after election, our city will be doing their 4-year budget deliberations, which will set in motion spending of $1 billion. Budget is an area I spent a significant amount of time working towards reducing taxes while striving to find ways to add additional spending in our community where needed. I've reviewed the budget and feel confident I can get up to speed immediately and be an active council member on your behalf. When I was on council, I was the only member to not to support the purchase of the Stone Ridge Hotel. I don't say that as a slight to my previous council colleagues or administration. I couldn't support it because of the discussions with property managers, building contractors, engineers, social agencies, and citizens. From these conversations and doing my own research, there was just too many concerns around project expenses to complete the scope and to complete the project successfully. It felt like we were rushing something before we figured out how we could ensure its success. I love our city and I'm proud to live here, raise a family here, and operate businesses here. Please vote for me so I can go back to work on your behalf, bring further transparency on budgets, to advance our city's advocacy and priorities around health and safety, and to ask the tough questions that are needed to happen on your behalf. Thank you, and please vote for that.
Thank you, Wade. Frank Scully, next.
First of all, I'd like to thank everyone for making this particular meeting happen. And that I enjoyed it very much. Now, you know, I could sit here and complain about several things about the city, but overall, I love the city of Grande Prairie. It's been a great place. It's been very beneficial for my family. I have one son that needed special needs, and the city come forward. So for me, I'd like to see that the spending in the city be better controlled. You know, let's get a bang for our dollar. I like a lot of things are going on, but I think there needs to be a little bit more talk and a little bit of change of what's happening. Thank you.
Thank you, Frank. Next, Solomon O'Keefe.
Once again, thank you, people of Grande Prairie, for the confidence you had in me and gave me your vote last year. In talking to people, what I've heard is we need a change. We need a fresh perspective at City Council. We need fresh eyes and a fresh voice to the decisions that I make at City Council. That is where I come in. I bring fresh perspective from Europe, from United States. I bring a change that you are so looking for at Council Chamber. That is what Solomon represents. And I want to tell you, we're going to have a fresh perspective on addressing homelessness and all the other issues. So if you need somebody with boldness to confront, somebody with knowledge and ability to perform, and somebody with humility to serve, vote Solomon O'Keefe for councilor. Thank you.
Thank you, Solomon. Next, Tammy Brown.
Thank you. I'm prepared to enter midterm in council, and I'm informed of the issues, and I have done the best to stay on top of council's chambers discussions. I believe I will fit in well with and understand the workings of council today, and therefore be able to participate in council upon arrival when voted in as your councillor. I will fight for the hardworking families of Grande Prairie for controlled and managed spending, and I want to work for you and your families for growth, sustainability, and for an economically responsible city for continued prosperity. The safety and well-being of every resident is the utmost importance. I want to advocate for safety within our city. Also, continued work on beautification within the city and I will also contribute to safe, growing, vibrant city that we are all proud to call home. I hope you will find me and my platform to your liking and vote for Tammy Brown to be your representative on the Grande Prairie City Council. I believe in building Grande Prairie's future upon our community's strengths and making a quality of life that all city residents want to achieve together. Thank you very much for the opportunity.
Thank you, Tammy. Next, Brian Patrician.
Thank you, everybody, for this opportunity to speak. Myself, I'm a foundation man. I want to see good, solid structure for anybody to build their house and life upon. I've always wanted to inspire change in our community with proper spending and accountability for finances and personal choices. Regardless of who you vote for, I recommend advance voting because I've seen from last year, voting in October out in the cold, you may wait a couple hours. So you want to make your choice heard. So you want to get yourself to the polls, regardless of who you're going to vote for, you make your choice heard. Thank you.
Thank you, Brian. And Eric Gold.
Yeah, Brian, that's right. Vote October 8th, October 15th at the Montrose Cultural Center if you want to vote early, or the 17th if you're going to vote on the day. Vote Eric Galt on October 17th. I bring a perspective of cooperation. I am excited to learn, to listen. I have a unique perspective with my ear to the ground, hearing from all sorts of different people from different groups and vocations. And because of that, I have a unique perspective that I can bring. And I would really love to really reduce the homelessness in this city, and whatever I can do to get that done. That's it for me.
Thank you, Eric, and thank you to all the candidates for your remarkable closing remarks. It's greatly appreciated. And from
Thank
the
you,
chamber,
Tertius, for the excellent job you've done.
thank you, Kevin. Appreciate that. And from the chamber, we thank all of you candidates for participating tonight. It's not easy. And more importantly, we really appreciate you letting your name stand for election, which shows your commitment, your passion, and your love for this city, the place to be. Thank you for that. And definitely to our staff here and my fellow board members involved here tonight, I think you guys have done an awesome job. We don't do this often, and I think you guys did fantastically well. So thank you for that. And then also our audience, you guys have great questions out there, and we appreciate that. And also thank you for your participation tonight. And as mentioned earlier a few times, we encourage everyone eligible to go and cast your vote. And as mentioned, the event polls are on October 8th and the 15th, or on the by-election day on October 17th. And all this information can also be found on the cityofgp.com website. Again, thank you, everyone. Please vote, vote, vote. And to the candidates, thank you for a great evening. Everyone have a wonderful evening and good night.